Hello, and welcome to Guidance for a Better Life. Today's show has a story about how the divine helped my guest help her doctor with reoccurring back pain. So if you've ever had back pain or you love God, I think today's show is going to be very interesting to you. Hello, Tosh.
Hi, Dale.
This is Tosh Kanine, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
You had reoccurring back pain for how many years?
At the time, it was about 13 years.
Wow. So it's not just, it's something that was reoccurring.
Yes.
Okay. That would be considered recurring back pain.
Absolutely.
Had you tried different things until we get to the story? Had you tried other things before?
I had tried chiropractic, several different types of massage, and ibuprofen a lot.
Okay.
And nothing made it go away permanently.
Yeah, and taking a pain medicine is probably not good long term
Right.
for your health.
Mm-hmm.
Did it help? Did any of those help at least temporarily?
Temporarily, but the pain would come back so frequently that there were times where it was stopping me from doing things I wanted to do.
Okay, so this has been a long term, many years.
Mm-hmm.
Tried other things, and this where our audience this might be a completely unique way to get help with your back pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah.
So in your story, you had a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, you felt in your story you were led to a particular doctor, not a chiropractor. What was his specialty?
Yes, the specialty was in acupuncture and osteopathic techniques.
And you say that fast.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What is that again?
Osteopathic techniques.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to even try to repeat that. But it's different than a chiropractor.
Yes.
I go to chiropractors often, and I've been very happy with them.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, it was not helping your situation.
Yeah, it just wasn't getting to the root, I think, of
Okay.
the problem. Yeah.
And you felt in your story the divine guided you to this doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you had a dream that had very specific, that close to the problem.
Yes.
Can you explain your dream, please?
Sure.
And then you shared that with this doctor you were guided to.
Yep.
And we'll see if it helped. It's a mystery.
So it was the night before I was to see my doctor for my second follow-up visit.
Okay.
And what happened in the dream was I was laying on an exam table, and there were two people diagnosing me. And they asked me to put my left leg in a figure 4 position. And once I did this, there was a severe imbalance in my right hip, or right pelvis.
Okay.
And that's what they noted. And they said my right iliopsoas muscle and oblique muscle were stuck in a holding pattern.
Now this makes sense to you because you're a massage therapist.
Right.
And you know a lot of big words.
Right.
You know the different muscle patterns and the joints and all that.
Right.
So that was very specific information that most people wouldn't know.
Right.
They think it was just a weird dream.
Right.
But it meant something to you.
Yes, it
very
did.
specific.
Yes.
Oh, so the next day.
So the next day when I saw my practitioner, I shared the dream with him because I knew that he also values dream information because he's a student at the school. So I shared it with him, and he decided to continue with his original treatment plan.
He didn't really listen at first.
Right, not at first.
All right, so he continued.
Mm-hmm.
And in your story, he was working on, I think, the hip area?
Yes. He was working on the hip area, and about 10 minutes into the session, he stopped, and he asked me, what were those muscles again? And when I told him, it was almost like a light bulb went off. He's like, okay, that changes some things. I need to shift my focus.
And you said in your story, the muscles you're talking about that I'm not going to try to repeat.
Yes.
The pelvis area was literally 3 inches. It's about that much away from the hip area he's working on.
Yep, that's right.
So it seemed like it wouldn't make that much difference, but did it?
It really did. And he explained to me that with osteopathic techniques, it has to be very precise.
Okay.
Where you're working has to be very precise in order for it to be effective.
And 3 inches can make a world of difference.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So how'd it go when he listened to you after a few minutes doing it the other way, the way it started on the first time you met him?
Right.
And then he moves, about 3 inches more towards the pelvis?
Yes. So once he did that, I could feel the muscles softening. The soft tissue was just kind of melting in those two areas.
Was that happening while you were on the table?
Yes, and I could tell that
So immediately there was a difference.
There was a difference.
3 inches, that close.
Yep.
You felt the difference.
I did, and it started to flow. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like I could tell a physical healing was taking place in precisely the right area for me at that time. Yep.
Wow. And I know this particular doctor. He's a friend and a student. He's been up here to the school for many years.
Yep.
I know he believes in dreams and he follows dreams. And he's very good at what he does, but he was off only 3 inches. That seems really close.
Yep.
But as soon as he followed the information that God gave you in the dream, it made that much difference.
It really did. And, yeah.
Now, was it a permanent fix, or like you said, you had reoccurring back pain like many people do, and it's very difficult to put up with that for 13 years or so.
Yeah.
That it helped immediately, but did it last? Did it mitigate? Would you have a less back pain from then on? Did it go away completely?
At the time, it went away for, I think, about a year. I didn't have any back pain in that area.
Wow. So in 13 years, you never had that much relief.
Yep, exactly.
That's quite stunning.
So it was huge, a huge healing for me. And, you know, it has come back here and there, but I now have a way to manage it, and it doesn't last. So it's.
How do you manage it now?
Now I have some poses that I do that I've learned from a different practitioner.
Okay.
But I put myself in these positions, and it helps.
Is it these other positions, are they basically working on the same area
yes.
that you were given in the dream?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's still that 3 inches, that different spot over towards the pelvis.
Yep.
Although you don't need to go to another doctor, you can you have your own ways of stretching or
yes.
whatever to help
exactly.
that. And does that seem to remedy the problem for you?
It does. Yep. As long as I do my part, now I have this healing given to me from the divine.
So who gave you the healing? Did God literally?
I believe God gave me the healing.
Why would he do that for you?
Well, I've learned it's because God loves me.
He does love you, and he loves every one of you out there watching. And the difference about you and maybe somebody else, he doesn't love you more. He loves all his children.
Yes.
But you've made significant effort to learn to listen to the divine.
Yes, I have.
And to understand his guidance.
Yes.
Because I'm sure he'd want to do that. If he did that for me, I would know what that muscle was. I would think it's just a garbled dream. So he knew you would understand the information.
Exactly.
And you knew you'd listen to dreams. Very, very cool.
It's amazing.
So basically it's changed your life.
Absolutely. I'm able to do things now that I would do them, but I would have pain. And so it wasn't as enjoyable.
We're going to do another interview today, actually, later today, where you used to like to play tennis. You rode mountain bikes. You did all kinds of exercise in the gym. We'll talk about that in the next interview. But were those things harder to do with your back pain?
Yes, they were a lot harder. And I feel that this was a prayer in my heart that was answered, a healing straight from God.
I'm just amazed about the precision. God knows you so well. He knew the exact muscle and the exact spot to tell your doctor.
Yep.
And you took that information and told your doctor, and it helped you. Wow.
Yeah.
Was the doctor you went to pretty surprised? That's not in your story, but I'm curious.
He was, and we talked about it for at least 15 minutes after the session, and then we also talked about it afterwards.
It might help him with another patient someday, that information.
Yeah.
Help him be better practitioner. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So God loves you, and he gave you a dream which you've learned to pay attention to.
Yes.
And he knew you would understand big words and muscles, groups and all that. And you'd share that with your doctor.
Yep.
And he moved I'm just blown away.
Yeah.
Such a small move, and it immediately made a difference.
It really
and now you can do exercises or stretches to affect the same area.
Yep.
And you're off the medicine. You don't take a lot of
no, I don't take No, not as
I
often.
don't think that's good for you long-term
Exactly.
pain medicine.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I would just like to share that if there's anyone out there that, wonders if a dream could help them, or maybe if their prayers are heard. I mean, if you pray for a dream or pray for guidance to be led to a doctor or someone who can help you, I believe that you will be if you listen. You could be.
Need to know how to listen.
Exactly.
And actually try what you get in a dream. You actually trusted the dream enough. You weren't embarrassed to tell your doctor
Right.
what God told you basically in a dream, and of course he listened. I don't know if every doctor would listen, but you can certainly try. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So does God love you enough to help you with back pain?
Yes, he does.
Absolutely. And he loves all of you just as much. He loves all of his children. And if you're on medicine or painkillers, or you go to a chiropractor, which I've had very good success with, but if none of that's working, who knows? Maybe try praying and then just listen. If you don't get an answer in a dream, maybe you get a nudge to try a different doctor. The divine cares about you, and our job is to learn to listen and maybe try to follow the guidance and see how it works for you. So thank you, Tosh, for coming in today, and I really hope this helps a lot of people. There's many, many people out there that live with back pain, and it's very uncomfortable, and it maybe not debilitating, but it certainly reduces some of the things you wanted to do.
Absolutely.
So, and I hope you remember God loves you too, and he reaches out to us every day through dreams, for nudges, through coincidences, which are not really coincidences. So if you'd like more information on Tasha's story or other similar stories of God's love, you can find her story in Testimonies of God's Love, Book 1. I think it's chapter 38, somewhere in there, but you can find it. So thank you for watching today, and I hope this show blessed you. Thank you.